Hello and welcome to Escape Studios. This video is an overview of our online learning options. First, a breakdown of the two main areas of visual effects, followed by a walkthrough of our virtual learning environment. By the end of the video, if you have any more questions, there'll be a link to speak to one of our advisors who can give you any additional information. To begin though, let's look at how the courses are divided. Our online courses are split into the two main divisions of visual effects, 3D and compositing. 3D artists are the builders of the VFX world, creating something from nothing. They begin with simple geometric shapes inside 3D space, mold and manipulate them into complex models that are then textured, lit and rendered to look photorealistic. A 3D artist can create anything from scratch. Their only limit is their imagination. 2D artists, or compositors, are the final stage in the VFX pipeline. They collect together assets and elements from all of our artists and combine them together to create the final image you see on the screen. They are the magicians behind visual effects, spending their time making things appear and disappear, transporting people from one place to another, and tricking the audience into believing that what they see before them is real. Online courses are taught via our virtual learning environment, or as we call it, the VLE. It's the central hub for all of our off-site students, an online classroom where you can submit work, receive feedback, and chat to the VFX community. When you log in, you'll be greeted by your homepage, where you can access all the areas of the VLE. You can return to this page at any time by clicking on the large E in the top corner. Next to the E is a link to your profile, where you can see any posts you make in the VLE, either on the course material or on the wall. As you continue through your course, you'll see this page fill up quite quickly. The wall is a hub of information where Escape students post links, share information, and help each other out. You can make posts that you can share with everyone, with just your classmates, or just for yourself if you wished. Back on the homepage, the default tab is called My Courses, where you can find the link to any course you have access to, as well as a selection of free tutorials on all subjects we teach, and a back catalogue of the webinars we've hosted. There's also the Assignments tab, where your current weekly project will be available for you to upload your work to. And there's a tab listing your most recently viewed videos, so you can easily navigate back to them if need be. This list of videos can also be found in the Player drop-down menu if you're not on your home screen. Selecting a course will take you to the video player and automatically start playing the first available tutorial. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can open a navigation bar which displays all of the material available on the course in weekly drop-down menus. The menus tell you how much time you'll need to spend on each section, and opening them will display the tutorial videos relevant to the section. Let's have a look at one of these Week 1 videos to see the kind of content that they provide.
In this video, we're going to concentrate specifically on the transformation tools, and when I refer to that, it's going to be three main tools that we're looking at. We're going to look at the Move tool, the Scale tool, and the Rotate tool. They're three of the most common. You're going to use them consistently as you're working with inside of Maya, and it's good to get an understanding of them beforehand, not just in how to use them, but also some of the options that are available, because it can just really simplify a lot of your work, especially when you're beginning to build up your scene.
My very simple script, I've got two read nodes, a background and a foreground. These are merged, A over B, foreground over background, and we've got a small blur on the background. We've got a write node. In theory, we could write out the result, and we've got a viewer which views the renderable output. And the other controls for navigating around the node graph manually and also the viewer, we have panning, which is the middle mouse button on its own.
At the end of each week, your tutor will set you an assignment which will incorporate all of the skills you've learnt that week. Let's have a look at the Week 1 project brief.
Following your first week, it's now your chance to be able to put what you've learnt into practice and develop your own primitive man. Now essentially the project is comprised of two parts. The first is to come up with your own design for the character. We don't want to see the tutorial model reused, but rather a touch of your own creativity when using primitive geometry to construct the character.
So basically, you've got a series of little tasks just using everything that you've learned so far. And they are all placed within these backdrop nodes. and they're all hopefully fairly self-explanatory and well explained. But on each one, what you have is you have a reference here, and you have your elements with which you need to create the same image as your reference.
As the course progresses, the tutorials become more advanced. For comparison, let's have a look at a lesson from week 34 of the same course and see how much the course has progressed.
We haven't actually got any direct light or direct shadows. We know all about doing this. We've been working with the MIP matte shadow material throughout the VFX section of the course, and provided we're rendering through the same camera that we're projecting through, projection cam, we should have no problems using the usual MIP matte shadow material and MIP camera map shader.
So in this video we're going to be taking a look at the exposure tool. So what is exposure? Well, it usually refers to the amount of light a piece of film receives or a CCD on a digital camera. And this is controlled by a number of factors. Firstly, the length of time the film is exposed to light, so how long the camera shutter is open. And secondly, the f-stop, which controls the camera aperture, so how open the camera shutter is, letting in more or less light for a specified time.
You'll find that any relevant assets that are needed for the lessons are provided below the tutorial videos. Simply click on the name of the asset to download it, access it in your Downloads folder, and extract it to use it. Once you have completed an assignment, you'll find a tab under the Project Brief video where you can submit your work to your tutor for assessment. Clicking on the Browse button will open an Explorer window where you can find the files you're ready to submit. Create a new folder for these files, right-click and compress them into a smaller file, and then you can simply drag and drop them into the input box. Well, they'll be processed and then sent to your tutor. Once your tutor has assessed them, they will prepare feedback on your files and submit that back to you.
So obviously there was a few issues here that you've managed to clean up. We've now got the correct part of the backplate through your windscreen. We've lost this strange blue tint in here. And we've got a couple of other little bonuses as well. Less darkness down here, a bit of occlusion. And slightly better shadows compared to the shadows we're expecting to see from the visual clues in the backplate. Overall, you've done a pretty good job here. Can't really see anything wrong.
It's a tiny bit light, but you can barely see it. But one thing you could do in here is just add a color correct just after the dissolve or a grade, and then just use that. You see that's just much too much there, but it's just a tiny little bit just to grade it down, and that might help just a little bit. And then at the end you could then regrain it because it's ever so slightly softened.
If you can't decide between 3D or compositing, don't worry. We run short online taster courses in both, so you can try each one out and see which suits you best. Our recruitment team can answer any additional questions you might have about learning online, so if you'd like to speak to one of our advisors, click on the link below. Alternatively, you can purchase one of our online taster courses in 3D or compositing to experience how easy learning from home can be. Thank you for taking the time to learn about our online courses, and we hope to hear from you soon.